Free lunch case introduction. Let's imagine that you decided to offer free lunch to all kids at school. We will try to analyze whether it makes sense or not based on some general data. But before we move to Excel and have a look at the data we're going to need for this project, let's look at some general information. So first of all, we are considering providing free meals to around 50% of the students. This is despite the fact that around 20% of the students are suffering from malnourishing. In other words, we will provide lunch to a bigger share of students than on the paper we need to do that. Free meals should help achieve two things. So first of all, we want to increase productivity in the future, which will help us get higher GDP. Also, such policy will help reduce the crime rate in the future. So in other words, we have two important benefits that we want to take into account. Your task is to check whether it makes sense or not based on a cost-benefit analysis. On one side, we're going to have the costs of providing free lunch to 50% of the students. And on the other side, we're going to have those two benefits that we have mentioned. We will try to somehow estimate them. So that's in short. Let's move to Excel and let's look at the data that you will need for this case study. Please open file attached to the lecture, which is called Free Lunch in Schools version 5MT. As always, in the sheet master, we have a table of content. As you can see, we have described the benefits in separate sheets. So in productivity, we're going to have estimation of the benefit of high productivity in the future, and crime benefits related to the lower crime costs of the free lunch will be estimated in the sheet costs. Before we discuss each and every sheet in details, let's maybe have a look at the sheet parameters, where we have the main assumptions for this case study. So we start by defining in row 7 a number of students, which will be, as you can see, 6 million. This will be for 12 years of primary and high school. Then in row 9, based on that, we estimate that this implies that roughly each and every year there will be 500,000 students. As we have mentioned, we will provide lunch to 50% of the students, and this, we hope, will cause two things. So increase in productivity equal to 10% and lower crime. For the productivity, we also need the GDP per capita, and we have it in row 19. We, for the time being, have it set at the level of $16,000. To estimate the benefit coming from lower crime, we first have to know what percentage of people commit any crime during the year. So it is defined in the row 27. By providing free lunch, we expect this to go down by 0.05 percentage points. On top of that, we need to know how much it costs to keep a person in prison. So we estimate this to be around $6,000 per year. And the person who commits a crime will spend in some sort of a supervision, so prison or custody, 2 years. So based on those data here, we will try to estimate the costs and those two benefits that we have mentioned. Let's move first to the costs. So we want to estimate here how much we're going to spend on free lunches. Every column is a separate year. So in column J, we've got first year. In column S, we've got year number 10. We first start by estimating how many students are going to be using free lunch. So this will be based on how many students we have from the sheet parameters and percentage of students that will be eligible for this sort of a benefit. Again, this can be found in the sheet parameters. Once we've got the number of students, we can estimate the cost of free lunches. This will be based on two things. So number of students that we have estimated in row 6 and the cost per one student, which is estimated to be around $405 per year. So this will be the cost side of the free lunch project. Now, productivity will be a bit complicated. So first we have to estimate how many people are suffering from malnourishing in the whole country. This will be based on two things. So number of people and percentage of people that are malnourished. Both of those things can be found in the sheet parameters. Afterwards, in row 9, we estimate the number of students per 1 year that will benefit from the productivity increase. This will depend on two things, so number of students per 1 year of education and percentage that are malnourished, because those, we hope, will be the one to experience high productivity. Now, it is important to mention that the benefit will be cumulative, and every year it will increase by the number of students that join the workforce. Therefore, in row 13, we try to estimate that. So we want to estimate the total number of people that are benefiting in the whole population from the productivity increase. To see the effect of the free lunch on productivity, we have to wait for the kids to join the workforce. In other words, every year we will release a new group of kids to the job market that will have a higher productivity. thanks to the fact that we've provided them free lunch when they were studying. This means that the total positive effect will grow every year until malnourished kids join the workforce. After that, we will reach the saturation point of this positive effect, and it will stop growing. The saturation point is actually the number of people suffering from malnourishing in the whole population, which we estimated in row 5. And the batch of students that we release in every year, we estimated in row number 9. Therefore, in row 13, we will have a sum of all people released. So in year 2, this will be a sum of students that joined the workforce in year 1 and in year 2. In year 5, it will be all the students up to year 4. So some of them, and again, the students that joined in year 5. So this will tell us how many people will be affected, but we want to estimate that in money. Therefore, we will see what will be the increase of the GDP generated by those people. So we need not only the number of people, but also GDP per capita and increase of GDP as a percentage. Again, those things we've got in the sheet parameters. Now, when it comes to estimating the second benefit, we're going to do that in the sheet crime. So first, we estimate the number of people who will not commit a crime. This will be the number of people, the whole population, and this reduction in crime that we hope to get thanks to the free lunch. Again, you've got it in the sheet parameters. The benefits will consist of two things. So the fact that we will not have to pay for keeping people in custody and also increase in the GDP. So we first estimate the cost of keeping one person in custody. This will depend on two things. So annual costs and then the number of years a person on average is going to spend in custody in supervision. Again, those two things are defined in the sheet parameters. Once you've got it estimated for one person, you can estimate it for all the people that we will likely not keep in prison. So we need the number of people we estimated in row 5 and the cost per one person from row 9. And the second benefit coming from lower crime is the additional GDP. We estimated by looking at the number of people, number of years spent in prison or in supervision, and then GDP per capita that they will generate due to the fact that they will not be in prison. And the total benefit coming from reduction in crime will be a sum of those two things. So cost of keeping people in custody that we will not have to incur and additional GDP produced by those people. Finally, in the sheet comparison, once you estimate the cost, productivity and crime, you will be able to compare the costs and benefits of the free lunch and see whether it makes sense or not. So you can look at the net benefit, in other words, the difference between benefits and costs, or you can look at the net present value. That's in short when it comes to this case study. As always, I recommend that you pause now the lecture, try to solve this case study on your own, and once you're done with that, move to the next lecture where we will discuss the solution to this case study. I hope you managed to solve the case on your own, and now let's go through the solution together. We're gonna go through costs and the benefits. So first, let's go through the costs. As we have mentioned first in row 6, you have to estimate how many students are using free lunch. Since we have 6 million students and 50% of them will be eligible, this means that we're gonna provide lunch to 3 million people every year. In terms of costs, we may estimate them in row 10. And as you can see, every year it will be around 1.2 billion. Now let's see what we got when it comes to the benefit from productivity increase. As I have mentioned, first you have to estimate how many people in the whole population are malnourished currently. And as you can see, it's 7.6 million people. And ideally, we want to get it to 0. But as we have mentioned, you can't do that right away because you are providing lunch only to people who are young, so they are at school. In other words, only students get the free lunch. Therefore, we first estimate the pace at which each and every year this problem will be solved. So in row 9, we got that every year around 100,000 people will join the workforce. So students will graduate and go to work. And therefore, every year, the number of malnourished people will go down by 100,000. To see the total benefit, we obviously have to estimate the cumulative number. And this will be what we've got in row 13. So it grows from 100,000 to 1 million by year 10. As we have mentioned, the pace is the same, so it's 100 additional people who join the workforce every year. As we have mentioned, you also have to take into account the saturation point. In our case, we don't reach that even by year 10. So only 1 million people will have this increased productivity out of 7.6 million people of the initial pool of people suffering from this problem. The total benefit in terms of increased GDP grows from 160 million of annual additional GDP to 1.6 billion, and the total GDP increase will be 8.8 billion in 10 years, obviously. Now let's move to crime. So first we estimate how many people will not go to jail. And given what we think is possible, it seems that almost 20,000 people will not commit crime. A cost of keeping one person per year, it's 38,000. Therefore, the total savings from not putting those people in jail, it's 722,000. And we also look at the additional GDP generated by those people during 2 years. It will be a little bit above $600 million. The total benefit, we've got in Raw 22, and as you can see, it's $1.3 billion every year. In total, it's almost 14 billion. Obviously, we mean a sum of nominal values in 10 years. As we have mentioned, you have to see whether it makes sense or not, and we do that in the sheet comparison. So the cost, it's 1.3 billion every year. As we have mentioned, will be gradually increasing every year as people join the workforce. So the benefit will grow from 1.5 billion to almost 3 billion. And the difference between the benefits and costs is actually positive every year. In total, in nominal values, it's almost 9 billion. However, a better metric is to look at the net present value. So if you look at the 5-year period, so from year 1 to 5, this will be a little bit above 2 billion. And then in 10 years, it's 6.4 billion. All in all, it seems to be a positive project with a pretty nice net present value. Obviously, you can play with the parameters. So you can, for example, decide not to provide food to 50% of the people, but only to those malnourished, as we have mentioned, that 20%, whereas we provide food to 50% of the people. So this obviously will improve the economics of this project. So have a look at that, compare it with your solution, and if you have any questions, please let me know.